All right, so we're gonna go ahead and jump into our assembly. Basically, we want to take this design here and create a flat lay for nesting. And in SWOOD, there's a pretty easy way to go about that. So first step, I want to verify that my materials are all consistent. So I'll jump over to the Manage Project Materials and verify the material that I want to nest. So in our case here, I want to nest our Baltic Birch 12mm. So I'll click on this drop down and it'll give me a visual of all the parts in my design that is that Baltic Birch 12mm. And as I can see, I can verify that a good majority of my design is that material. That's the one that I want to nest. So from here, I'm going to jump over to the SWOOD Cam tab and I'm looking for the nesting button, which is right here. I've had clients that have gone to look for this button and sometimes it's just missing. If it's not there, what you could do is press the S key for search and just type in nesting. And a lot of times if your SWOOD Cam package is installed correctly, that'll pop up here if that's missing here. So in my case, I have it here, so I'm going to go ahead and click on it. So it asks me, do you want to add the active document to the nesting sources? What it means by active document is the document that's open. If there is a different document that I want to nest and I don't necessarily want to bring this into my nest, my active document, I'll hit the X button. But in this case, I want to hit the check mark. So I'll hit that and you're prompted with this window. What I like to start off with, we need to create a board to nest our 12mm Baltic Birch because we haven't made that yet. So we have these icons at the top here. I'm looking for the boards library button, which is right here. So I'll click on that and I want to create just a new material. So I'm going to right click here and click new. So yeah, a lot of information in this window. Really, the ones that are important is verifying the size of the board and assigning the correct material that we used in our design. So I'll go ahead and name it. So this one's 12mm Baltic Birch. And then I'll jump over to length. So say 96 by 48. And then for thickness, it doesn't really matter because that's driven by our material. So our material drop down that I want to look for is not this one, but rather this one. So I see that here. I'm going to come over and assign that Baltic Birch 12mm. So now that I have that there, I can go ahead. Oh, one more thing. And this has happened to a lot of clients also. They go to create their nest and they're like, oh, nothing's populating. The reason being, this one's super important. You have to have a quantity of board. If you have your quantity set to 0, it's not going to generate the nest. So in my case, I'll just make this 1,000. And if you do track quantity, you'll probably want that to be more realistic number. But in my case, I'm just going to put it to 1,000 so I never have to worry about it. So I have that there. I'll hit that check mark and you can go ahead and save this boards library. So once I've done that, as you can see, I have my source file, which is my overall assembly and all the parts within that source file. And basically what the nest does, it flattens everything out. So there's no sub-assemblies. You just have your main assembly and all the parts in a flattened down version. So what I want to do, I want to go ahead and press this rebuild button. And it's analyzing all the parts and it's going to generate a nest. So I come over here to my nesting result and I see that I have 12mm, 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 19mm, 19mm. I don't want to worry about 19mm Baltic Birch right now. So the way to go about that, when you go into your boards library, you see I have this 19mm Baltic Birch available. I don't want that. So I'm going to go over here, click on boards, and uncheck this 19 millimeter. So when I rebuild, it's recalculating, and now I'm just left with 12 millimeter Baltic birch. And as I'm looking at my material, I can see that there's just not enough spacing in between to really run a tool. So that's going to be driven in my, I believe it's new nesting assembly. You have the tool diameter and the offset. So really the largest tool that I'm going to use for this assembly is going to be a 1/2 inch end mill. So I'll put 0.5 for 1/2 inch, and then I'll do an offset. And in our case, let's just make it 0.125 for an 1/8 of an inch offset. And yeah, there's tons of information in here if you want to get specialized, but really just to get started, this is the main stuff that you need to worry about. So once I've inputted this information, you need to make sure that you go ahead and rebuild. It's going to regenerate a nest. And as you can see, that spacing has taken effect. So great, I've done that. So I'm going to go ahead, hit this check mark. And sweet, awesome. So basically what has happened, I've generated my nest, and what it's done, as you can see at the top, this is a new assembly, assembly 1. So in order to save this file, I have to save it just like I would save any other assembly. So maybe I'll go ahead and do that. I'll go ahead and hit Control S, save all. It's gonna prompt me where to save it. I'll just call this Gen 4 nest. So yeah, go ahead and save that. When it prompts you, typically for my typical designs, I always hit the save externally and specify the paths. For nesting specifically, it gets a little bit weird because if you have any offcut sheets that are generated and aren't necessarily part of your design, it'll try to save that to the path. So what I always do, I just save internally. So I'll hit OK. It'll go ahead and save. As you can see, that file has been saved. And I'll show you guys how to navigate through the sheets. So you now have an additional tab in your feature tree, and you go ahead and click on it. And basically this window here is an overview of your sheets that you have. So if I click on sheet 1, if I click on sheet 2, it'll go ahead and change that sheet over. And then if I want to go to sheet 3, I can do that just the same and navigate through there. So yeah, we have this here. What I'll go ahead and do, I'll kind of show you how to drop in a tool and what that will look like. So let's say I come over, I don't actually have a great tool for this, but maybe I'll just do a finishing cutter. Drop that over. As you can see, that's there. And then when I go to make a milling path, do an outline, let's say. I want this one here. Let's do contour, add. It's gonna calculate all the sheets. So now I have a machining toolpath there. And when I go to sheet 2, that shouldn't be there. Great, yeah. So there is a preview to nesting and kind of show you guys how to navigate the nesting window. If you guys are looking for more in-depth videos on nesting or just SWOOD material in general, stay tuned with SWOOD with A-Rod. Thank you.